You are listening to the Southwestern American Choral Directors Association Connections podcast, where we will interview choral directors, leaders, and movers and shakers within our region. I'm your host, Dr. Jeff Wall. We hope you enjoy these conversations. Please like and subscribe this YouTube channel for future content. What's up, SWACDA friends? Jeff Wall here, bringing you another episode of the Connections podcast. Today, I get the pleasure to speak with Spencer Wiley. And Spencer is, in this episode, very eloquent about his background and his bio, telling you where he's taught and his musical upbringing. So I'm going to allow him to do that. But you can find the full description of his bio down in the description of this video, rather. And he is, though, a sought-after clinician and adjudicator, and is also serving as our R&R chair for mixed ensembles. So there are a few interruptions in this episode with some announcements because he was recording at his school, and also just some audio things and some technical glitches that I was having on my side as well. So hopefully that doesn't disrupt things too much. I don't think it's too disjunct. I think you can get the gist. But without further ado, I want to bring you Spencer Wiley.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am here with Spencer Wiley. So, Spencer, maybe you could first tell us about your backstory, your musical upbringing, about yourself, what you do in the world.
Well, so sorry about that. I'm literally at school right now, and so we may have some bells that may kind of go off. So we'll just kind of keep things going. My name is Spencer Wiley, and I am currently the choir director at Harker Heights High School in Killeen, Texas. I guess kind of giving a little bit of backstory about me. I'm a military brat, and so we've moved around the world so much. When I was growing up, I was actually born in Germany. My dad was stationed all over the place. Germany, Georgia. I mean, we've been to Hawaii. Before we moved to Texas, I spent 3 or 4 years in Italy, so that was a lot of fun. But I bring all that up to say that, I really didn't get a really true good public school music, experience until I moved here to Texas. But the one thing that we always had was a good church choir. And so my first years growing up as a young musician was in the church. And so we moved to Texas. And as we all know, Texas is definitely one of those really strong music education states. And so getting that first opportunity in sixth grade was amazing. Did a region type of contest in seventh grade and then middle school, and got a little bit of success. And after making region choir when I was 12 years old, I at that time knew that I was going to be a choir director. I remember the day very, very well. It was a men's choir. It was at Baylor University, and we sang "Lady Lovely Art Thine Eyes." From that moment on, I knew that I wanted to be doing what that guy on the podium was doing. And so continued doing music all through high school, had the great opportunity to make the all-state choir here my junior and senior year, and then decided to go on to college. Went to the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor, which is another school that's kind of local here. It is a small Baptist school. And absolutely love that. And then when I got out of school, I decided it's time to get out there and teach. So we moved to the Austin area, and I taught middle school for 4 years. Absolutely loved it. Had the opportunity to assist an honor choir performance, and so that was great. But I think I always knew that I wanted more. I decided to go to grad school at Texas State University. Got my master's degree in music education with a choral emphasis. And during that time, I also had the awesome opportunity to teach private lessons here in the Austin area. So after I graduated, I decided to go ahead and time to start teaching Rouse High School. So I was the assistant choir director at Rouse High School in Leander ISD. And then a few years later, moved into a head position at Leander High School. And was there for 4 years. But then decided, you know what, it's time for me to settle down. My family and I, we wanted to kind of buy a house. And I'm not sure if you know this, Dr. Raw, but the pricing market for houses in Austin was and still is outlandish. So I decided to move back to the Killeen area in 2017, and have been here at Harker Heights High School ever since.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, I'd be interested to kind of sit down with you and chat a little bit in person off camera. Maybe you're going to National ACDA. I hope you are in Dallas.
Absolutely.
Maybe we can connect. Yeah, we have kind of once you were in Texas, we kind of have a similar trajectory there. I'm from the Dallas area myself, so yeah, completely. completely understand that. That's awesome, man. Okay, so why don't you go into a little bit about your role with Southwestern ACDA and what you're going to be doing for us, what you're excited about, initiatives you may have in mind, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. So I'm the Repertoire and Resource Chair for the high school level, primarily SATB, as there is a chair for treble and for tenor bass. And so my main goal is really just to be a resource and a go-to for members of our organization that need help, whether that be through repertoire selection assistance, classroom management help, serving as a clinician, or presenting on topics that focus on some of the issues that we really deal with here at the high school level. I guess my main goal is just to be a resource and to help those in our organization to find what they need to be successful in their classrooms. Again, whether that be connecting them with specific choral gems that are really, really amazing to sing, but accessible for high school choirs, or compiling and sharing rehearsal resources and practices that can be used in the choral rehearsal. I'm an active member of TCDA, which is the Texas Choral Directors Association, which is the Texas chapter of ACDA. And so my main goal is to really just continue to get the word out about ACDA. We're very lucky that this year's regional conference is going to be in Dallas. And so really encouraging our members down here to really get involved at the regional as well as the national level. Again, whether that be attending convention or encouraging others to submit presentations or recordings for honor choir. Dr. Wall, I have to be honest, I'm new to this position. And so there are definitely some things that I do not know. But what's great about just getting an opportunity to be on this committee is the fact that I know I have so many colleagues and so many friends that if I need help, I can most definitely reach out to them. And so really and truly just wanting to help others just do better in their classrooms. I'm really connecting. I think that's kind of my job is to be a connector, both with pieces, both with connecting mentors with folks who need a little bit more help, and just sharing some of the experiences and the practices that I've learned over 19 years of teaching.
Yeah, absolutely. We're really glad to have you in the position. And I think, it's exciting to hear you talk about some of those things. That's exactly what the position is supposed to be, providing resources, repertoire ideas, being a sounding board for folks in that area. So yeah, I think that's going to be right up your alley, and we really appreciate your work now and upcoming.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's get into some things that are sort of choral adjacent, but still will tell us a little bit about you as a person. So what is a piece of music, and this doesn't have to be choral, it can be, but what's a piece of music that you think best embodies your personality?
I would probably say Moses Hogan's arrangement of "I'm Gonna Sing Till the Spirit Moves in My Heart." If those of you who are familiar with that song, it requires a lot of energy, a lot of wrangled energy, but a lot of energy nonetheless. It has a drive. If you remember the song, the ostinato of that tenor line just kind of drives the song, and it's just relentlessly trying to achieve a goal, or relentlessly trying to spread the good news. So much so that it kind of gets everybody else in the ensemble kind of fired up. First he wants to sing, and then he wants to pray, and then he wants to shout. And so I think that's kind of me. I people have been told that I like to imbue a lot of energy into my rehearsals, and I like to think that I'm a positive person. And so I love this job. I love choral music, and so I just love just spreading the good news. There are so many things in this world that are just not going well, and so I really like to just try to be the antithesis of that, and try to be as positive as I possibly can. So that is most definitely a song that would just kind of describe me. And if you think about the end of the song, it kind of slows down and kind of becomes a little bit more introspective. It ends with that little part. And so even though I'm an extroverted person and people, like to think that I have a lot of energy, I'm actually an introvert. I grew up as an only child. And so I really enjoy those moments when I get to kind of be by myself and kind of get to center. I'm the type of person, I will wake up in the morning and go to the gym or go for a run before I get to work, because the morning is really the only time that I kind of get to be with myself and be with my thoughts. And so, yeah, I definitely think "I'm Gonna Sing Till the Spirit Moves in My Heart" really embodies kind of my personality.
Man, I love that. And I love that piece. That's awesome, and that you were able to connect so many personality traits to that piece too. That's great. Okay, so what is your desert island choral piece then? One that only one that you could have with you for an extended period of time before you are rescued.
Come on, doctor. That's a hard question. There's so much good music out there. But I will probably say it's Michael Barrett's arrangement of Indodana. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that one, but I was first exposed to the music of South Africa when I was on a choir tour trip with Texas State University. And we had the absolute pleasure of singing with the Nelson Mandela University Choir on one of our stops. And I was a grad student at that time. So, seeing the undergrads and seeing some of those college students from South Africa and from the Nelson Mandela University sing with such passion and such conviction and such happiness, really, in spite of just some really horrific situations that happened in that country just decades prior, with apartheid and with just a lot of civil unrest. It really inspired me. It really let me see that, the future's okay. We're going to be okay as a society. It really kind of felt me with joy, not that giddy joy, but it was more of a peaceful joy, and even right now, I mean, I'm hearing the first two or three bars in my head, and it's extremely calming. My varsity mixed choir had the opportunity to do it about 4 years ago for one of our U.I.L competitions, and the last time that we sang it at the end of the year, I was filled with that same peace and that joy. And so I think that if I were in on a desert island, I would want a piece that would mentally kind of take me home, that would allow me to feel safe. And I think Inodana would definitely be that piece for me.
I love that. Yeah, and just for listeners, after I get through all of these R&R chair interviews, I'm compiling all of these answers as a repertoire resource
That's
for
very
folks.
cool.
To go back to both of these questions, the piece that best embodies personalities and also the desert island choral piece. So I'm going to try to compile all that for folks too. And I think having a wide swath of different answers here is really cool to hear from different folks. So yeah, thank you for your answer. That's awesome too. Do you have now a particular style or philosophy of programming?
I'm a firm believer, as I'm sure many choir directors are, at this point. I'm a firm believer that it's important to expose our students to a variety of different styles of choral music. So I try to reflect that idea in the music that I choose for my singers. Again, my main goal is to program music from various different cultures and ethnic backgrounds. As I said, I teach in Killeen ISD, which is the main district that serves Fort Cavazos, which is one of the largest military installations here in this country. And with being surrounded by a military base, there is an immense amount of diversity in my classroom. And so I try to program music that reflects the cultures of the kids that are singing in it. I also think it's important to program choral music from different historical time periods in Western culture. I think it's our job as choir directors to give our students the chance to sing music that has stood the test of time. Whether that be early music or Renaissance pieces or contemporary pieces, with cluster chords. I think there is so much music that is out there. I absolutely love music from different cultures, but I think it is really, really important to make sure that we give our students the opportunity to do those choral gems that, I mean, even now are being found on TikTok, and different social media streaming services. And so really just making sure that we do some of those seminal pieces and they have an opportunity to do that at some point while they're in my choir program. I also think it's important to give singers the chance to sing a variety of genres of contemporary styles of vocal music. I love traditional choral music. I am a classical musician by heart, but I also love musical theater. You know, Many of my students, they'll geek out about Mozart's Lacrimosa, but they also like sitting around the piano with the guitar and harmonizing country music. And so I think that all genres and styles of vocal music are valid. And so I think it's important to give our students that outlet at some point during their opportunities to be in our classes. As I said, there's a lot of music out there, and with regards to programming, it's really hard to kind of get all of those pieces and all those styles in one concert. And so I like to think of programming as a 4-year type of a time frame. Many of my students stay in choir for all 4 years. And so, if I'm not able to get a good Renaissance piece this year, well, then I'll think about that for U.I.L for the next year. In fact, I'm definitely thinking about doing a Renaissance piece in the spring, because I realize, I've got a junior. He hasn't done anything in Renaissance or anything early music. And if I'm going to set him up for success to be a choir director, because I know he definitely wants to do music education, I want to try to give him as many experiences as possible. So, yeah, different cultures I think is very important. But I also think contemporary music and giving kids the opportunity to do the songs that they love is just so important with programming for our concerts.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. Yeah, and you said some very important things there. One of the things that comes to mind is, you said there's so much music out there, and often we as directors, well, I say this to emerging choral directors, some of mine that I'm teaching to go out into the world and be teachers themselves. But I'm like, look, if your program starts to look like and it's a mixed bag program where it's not like a major work or something like that. If it looks like it's drawing from maybe one area, one demographic, one style or performance practice or something like that, you just don't know enough music.
Yeah.
And, so you need to do a little more research. You need to ask some folks. You need to, go down repertoire and resource lists. You need to do some listening, all that stuff, so that, you are not only, as you said, hitting the things that your singers like, but also the things that they need. Yeah, I think that's absolutely 100% great answer. So thank you for that. Okay, so then what would, after you've got everything set and you've programmed your concert, you're starting to work on things, what would a typical rehearsal look like under your direction?
Well, I will probably say before even class starts, as the kids are entering the room, I'm greeting them and trying to make some quick connections with them. I think, we are in the business of people. And in order for our singers to do what they need to do and to feel comfortable, there has to be a sense of connection, both between the director and the singers, as well as between and amongst the singers themselves. And so, I'll ask them about, if I'm, what was the score of the football game last night? Or, I know you're in musical. How's rehearsal going? Just trying to connect with them on a human level, I think is so, so, so super important. And so, I like to be at the door and greeting them, but we always know there's so many things that have to happen before a rehearsal. So, but I always try to make a connection with my students before the bell rings. And then, once class starts, we're going to start out with some vocal warm-ups. And those vocal warm-ups will consist of specific vocal techniques that they're going to need for today's rehearsal, or specific concepts that a song may require, whether that be rhythmic accuracy or a melismatic passage or just going through extreme dynamic contrast moments. I like to try to formulate and just make up some exercises or make up some warm-ups that are going to get their minds focused on the concepts that we're really going to be working on when we get into our concert repertoire. Of course, we always do some sight reading. I mean, I definitely think that that's important, whether that be in unison, octavos, or even just counting rhythms. I always tell my students, and they hate it, but I tell them the best gift that I can give them is the gift of music literacy. And I tell them that even if you don't want my gift now, you're going to love that gift when you get out of here. And so it's really important to me that every single student gets the opportunity to have some music literacy and to know how to read music, or at least have an understanding of reading music when they leave my programs, when they graduate. And honestly, the best way to do that is to do it every day. So, and then after that, that mental focus, I'm going to sit them down. I'm going to talk about some announcements, which, interestingly enough, it literally just happened right now. So maybe, I don't know, I'll keep talking. We may want to go back and do this question again, or however you want to do it, but Pledge of Allegiance right now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, we can't hear it as much on the microphone, but maybe we can we'll pause and I can edit this part out until they're done.
So as I was saying, after we do sight reading, we'll take the time to give announcements because there's always something going on in my choir program, and I'm not sure about your college students, but kids definitely have a hard time remembering stuff, and so I always try to carve out at least 2 minutes just to make sure that they know what's going on. But then, getting back to the music, we're going to jump back into our concert literature with, I always try to structure the most challenging concepts or pieces first. I think, after sight reading, their minds are kind of really focused. And so I really want to make sure that they have a lot of mental engagement when we're working in our concert literature, at least for the first one. And then we'll always like to finish off with a piece that they're more familiar with, or something that they can. And I always like to tell them, leave the room singing. And so, like today, we're doing this piece called "Unwritten." It's one of the pieces that are on the TMEA audition list. And the bell rung, and we were halfway through the song, and they absolutely loved it. So I told them, as we're singing, the bell rung. I was like, "Okay, leave the room singing." And so it's so super important. Our kids are wanting to come to our classrooms, and I always want to make sure that they are leaving on a high note. And so yeah, so I mean, and then after that, depending on what the vibe of the classroom is, you might also see me kind of sitting down and having some class discussion and just talking to my students. I'm a firm believer that teachers, especially choir directors, have an immense amount of impact on the students that we teach. And you and I both know that in some cases, many of our students actually spend more hours of the day with us than they do their parents. And so I believe that we have a stake in raising our students. And so I think it's important that we take the time to teach our students how to act, how to be a good person, and also how to be a contributing member of the team. And so I think that's super important. I really like to imbue a little bit of social emotional learning in my classroom because I think it's important. Again, we are teaching musicians, but most importantly, we're teaching humans. And we got to teach our kids how to act. And so that's super important for me.
Yeah, I love that. And some of the folks that I've interviewed, have had similar answers with the how a typical rehearsal might look like under their direction. And it's important as we get into this next question, as far as pointers for emerging choral leaders,
Mm.
because I want them to, anybody listening to this, to see, this is kind of common practice, and there's a reason that it's common practice, to kind of use that formula of what a rehearsal might look like. Because I have, some folks that are new out into the choral world, as emerging choral leaders, and they're kind of lost of what to do. I'm like, well, just listen to these folks. This is the formula. Plug your own stuff into this formula, and it'll work. There's a reason it works. So as we talk about that, so what extra pointers might you have for an emerging choral leader?
I would honestly say the number one pointer would be get out and observe other choir directors. So many times we get in situations where we think, oh my gosh, if I'm not here, then the whole choir program is going to burn to the ground, or they're not going to be able to be ready for the concert. But to that, I would say get out and observe other choir directors, especially in the first few years of your career. Yes, it is important to observe those directors that have those programs that you aspire to have. But I think it is more beneficial to observe the choir directors that have similar programs to what you have, whose students look and sound like yours. For instance, I mean, you need to know how to deal with Johnny who can't match pitch, or you need to know how to deal with Susie, who's so deathly shy that she barely opens her mouth to sing. So I think if you were to go and watch your peers, watch and see how your peers deal and diagnose Johnny. What do we do for kids who can't match pitch? What do we do for our students who are just so shy that, and riddled with performance anxiety that they can't sing? Well, going out and watching how other people deal with those things, I think, is the best form of professional development. Another pointer that I would say is you're not alone. Reach out to other choir directors for help, especially if you are by yourself. And if it's not just having conversations about programming for concerts or help with the administrative part of the job, which I'm going to tell you, emerging folks, the administrative part of the job is serious. We wear so many hats in our profession. And if I think back to my first few years of teaching, a lot of the drowning effect happened because I had so much to do with the administrative part and didn't know how to do it. And so I encourage others to reach out. You are not being a bother. You're not annoying these choir directors. We want to help. Your community wants to help you. So reach out if you need help with anything. And even if it's just a vent about Johnny or Susie, it's just really important to have a sounding board, and to reach out to others. And I would think the last bit of advice that I would say would be to do your homework and take time to plan out what you are going to accomplish on the podium. My dad always used to tell me, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so it is so, so super important that you read through the music and you study the music and you allow yourself the time to anticipate where the pitfalls and the more challenging concepts are at, and figure out how you're going to formulate some strategies to counteract those things before your students are in front of you. So that way everything could just move as efficiently as possible. But again, the number one thing, get out there and observe. It is okay. And in most cases, your administrators on your campus have hours, and they have subs that will watch your class and will allow you to go out and watch your peers. So just get out there and observe people who are doing the same things as you're doing.
Yeah, I think you're spot on with all of that. So observe, beware of the administrative pitfalls for sure, and call on folks. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really great thing. And I'm a former department chair too, so I have some insight into the administrative side of things. You know, and if one piece of advice I could give, just kind of interjecting here, is, you know, it's the whole saying of one is none and two is one. You know, just redundancy, finding your methods and your practices, and, you know, have backup plans and contingencies, and, you know how that works. All right, yeah, we've had some announcement interruptions and stuff, so and some problems with me on the recording here. So let me just ask that question again. What general advice, life advice, would you give yourself at 16 years old?
I would tell my 16-year-old self to practice your piano because you are going to need those skills later on in life. I can't tell you how much money I could have made as an accompanist, or how much budget money I spent on accompanist. And honestly, we use piano so much in our profession. 16-year-old self, I know you don't want to sit down at the piano, but just sit down and just practice. You have no idea how much that's going to help you in your career moving forward. And I think something else that I would probably say is take advantage of every performance opportunity that you're presented with, and not to let fear get in the way of your growth as a musician and as a person. I tell this story all the time. When American Idol first came out back in the early 2000s, I had several of my friends who wanted to go ahead and try out for that, but I was so afraid of not doing well, or fear of failure, or fear of not getting the solo, that I didn't do it. Now, please know that I am not saying that I would have been the next American Idol, but I definitely think, with regards to performance and solos, yeah, so again, I would just take advantage of every single performance opportunity possible. So many times as singers, we just feel that, oh my gosh, if I don't do well, the world's gonna end, or I'm not ready for this, or what happens if I fail? And I now know that it is in failure, and it is in making those missteps that we learn. And so I would most definitely tell my younger self, take advantage of performance opportunities, try out for solos, prepare for solos, but most definitely don't count yourself short. You're more talented than what you think.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. Okay, so thinking about your future self, you're 90 years old or so. What advice would you look back and give yourself right now?
I would probably say, remember the importance of connecting with others. I think myself at 90 would say, you've been doing this for almost 20 years and you've learned a lot. Don't be stingy with knowledge. Share your experiences and the things that you've learned throughout your career with your peers, and pay it forward to future educators. I definitely think that's important. I also think my elderly self would probably say, go for it. Take advantage of every single opportunity that comes your way. Say yes. Don't operate in fear. Whether that be getting a chance to be an R&R chair for SWACDA, or, giving an opportunity, to present at conventions or professional development sessions or clinic inquiries around the state or regionally. Say yes, go for it, because you're in the prime of your life. And you're 42 years old. So go for it.
Yeah, I love that advice. That's awesome. Okay, so if you're working on a passion project, you're really in the zone. What does that look like for you?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you, Dr. Wall. I love a to-do list. I like projects. I like to stay busy. And I'm a huge proponent of the to-do list. In fact, I have my to-do list sitting right here next to me. And I'm definitely one of those type of people who, keep to-do lists on the side of the nightstand, just for those moments where you wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning and write those things down. I think if I'm having if I'm in the zone, or if I have a passion process, or a passion project, I'm constantly thinking about it. And so really making sure that I've got my to-do list in hand and writing things down. And I love crossing things off my to-do list. And so, yeah, I really kind of thrive off of that, because I know that if I cross it off, I'm one step closer to success or the finish of the project. Um, you're also going to find me collaborating with others. If I'm in the zone, or if there is something that I'm really fired up about, I know that it takes a village in order to make that happen. Every single thing, every single success that I've enjoyed as a choir director, it has never been by myself. It has always been with others. And so you're going to find me flanked with support from my peers, support and guidance from my mentors, stakeholders in the program, parents. But most importantly, you're gonna find me really making sure that the kids understand the importance of that passion project, or why I'm so emphatic about a specific song. Because I think it's important that they know that we are in the, again, I say we're in the business of people. And so it's important to know it's important to know that people are going to be the things that are going to be able to get you to succeed. Um, and finally, if I'm in the zone in rehearsal, you're definitely going to see me engaging with the ensemble. I am definitely not one of those choir directors who likes to stay at the piano. I like to try to memorize my score as best as possible, so I could kind of be in the kids' faces and really kind of inspiring them, and just getting them fired up about what it is they're singing about. I really think it's important to share insights about the music, and being able to connect the insights of the music to both my life, and to allow the kids to be able to find some connection between theirs. Because I think that, with regards to choral music, we have a story to tell. And in addition to learning the notes and the music, we have to find the deeper meaning behind it. And so you're when I'm fired up, you're definitely going to see. I like to work out, so you're going to see me sweating, and everybody just having a good time. Because again, there are so many other things and negative things to kind of focus on in the world. Choral music is there just to make us feel good.
Yeah, I love that answer too. Yeah, yeah, it sounds like we're similar. Being up in the kids' faces, and working it. And I tell them, if we're not sweating together, we're not working hard enough.
No, that's right. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so forgive my 7-year-old brain for writing this next question, but so think about like a sanctioned WWE style 4-person tag team of choral directors in a match. Maybe you're preparing for a clinic or session. Take this for however you like, but who are 3 other choral directors, and I should say, living or past,
Sure.
that you'd like in your corner for this match?
Well, I think my first pick would be Miss Denise Eaton, who is the former vice president and president of TMEA, and clinician, presenter. I think she was the editor for Briley and Carl Fisher for several years. And she's really one of my dearest friends. I got the chance to work with Denise about 5 years ago as one of her mentees for the entire school year. We had a situation where she would come down, and clinic my choir, and then we'd kind of debrief. I would send recordings, video recordings of my conducting, and send lesson plans, and so on and so forth. So, when it comes to lesson planning, and when it comes to score study and choral rehearsal techniques, she is literally one of the best experts out there. And so I had the awesome opportunity to work with her very, very closely. And so she would most definitely be my first pick. My next pick would probably be Miss Cody Raven Morris, who is currently the assistant professor of music education and social justice at Portland State University. I met Cody at Texas State University while we were on that South Africa trip that I was talking about. And we really had a great opportunity to bond and become close friends because we were the only two African American singers in that choir. And so getting an opportunity to go to South Africa with her was just amazing. And so we really kind of bonded. And since then, I've had the opportunity to work with her as a fellow clinician, and so it's just really cool to watch her work. Because not only is she a fantastic musician, but she's just a fantastic, phenomenal human being. Watching her work with her choirs is awesome because she's not just there to improve tone and musicality. She also takes the time to inspire her singers and challenge her singers to be the best version of themselves, both on stage and in their everyday lives. And again, as I said, social emotional learning is very important to me. And it's as well as very important to Miss Cody Raven Morris. And so she would be my second pick. And to round out our SmackDown team would be my best friend, Mr. Cody Parrott, who is currently the director of choral activities at Illinois Wesleyan University. I've actually known Cody since high school. We competed against each other back when we were seniors in high school, and we actually started our undergraduate degree at UMHB, the University of Mary Hardin-Baylor, together as well. And so over the course of the past 20 years, we've remained close friends. And whenever we have a big professional thing happening, or if we have some questions, we will always call each other. We don't talk every day, but he's definitely one of those friends to where, after we talk, it's almost like we hadn't skipped a beat. He's always had my back. And he's always somebody that I know that I can confide in and who will be honest with me. And not only that, those of you who know him, he's just a really fun person to be around and just the life of the party. And so I think with our SmackDown team, we're going to need a wild card. And so I think Cody Parrott would definitely be that guy.
Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. So you did mention you really like to stay busy and, waking up at 2:30 in the morning, jotting some ideas down and things like that. That can add up after a while. So what do you do to relax and fight burnout?
I actually enjoy exercising and working out. I generally start my day every morning at 4:30 or 4:45, and I go to the gym. And people are like, "Oh my gosh, how do you do that?" My dad, as I said, I was a military brat. And so my dad used to wake me and my mom up every morning at 5 a.m. to go to the gym. And that's been a thing since I was 15 years old. And so my internal clock is just set to wake up. And the thing about, going to the gym and I guess running or anything like that is I get to start my day focusing on building myself and centering myself. I might listen to some really good music just to really kind of focus. I think that's a lot of where burnout happens is that we get up and immediately go to work and immediately start thinking about others and start thinking about our students, which that's a great thing. But, just like they say when you are on a plane, and if that mask comes down, you have to give yourself the mask first before you can help others. And so I always like to start my day with centering and exercising and working out. I'm also an avid gamer. Um, if I'm stressed out or if I have a lot of things going on, I'll pull out my PS5 or my Nintendo Switch and play games for hours. What's funny about that is I actually didn't grow up playing video games. It was actually during the COVID shutdown that we had so much time on our hands, and like I'm sure many of you out there watched everything you possibly could watch on Netflix and all those streaming services. And so with all of that time, I just decided to pick up video gaming. And I literally do that to this day. I mean, I will go home and turn on the PS5 and just jump on my horse and go ride around. But anything just to kind of take my mind away from what's going on at work, because we all know that this job can be consuming. And we will really focus on work or strategies or things because we love it. It's our passion. But we also need to take a little moment just to have a break. And so I'll go to that video game world, man. I'll jump on a bike or I'll jump on a horse and just kind of do my own thing. Um, and it's funny that you asked that WWE SmackDown question. I actually watch professional wrestling. I don't watch WWE though. I watch AEW. And again, I'm not sure if anybody out there is going to know what that is, but again, I just watching just stupidity on the TV, just we all know that it's worked and but it's just again, just getting an opportunity to do something that has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with the job. It
Yeah,
really
just
allows me to find.
mindless decompression, right?
Yes, sir. I mean, that's what we need because again, this is our passion. We love this, and if we're not careful, we will do this ad nauseum. But everybody needs a break. So, give me the gym, give me a gaming system, or give me some wrestling, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, I love that. All right, yeah. So train the body, clear the mind.
Yes,
Yeah, and then some form of escapism. Yeah,
yes.
I think that's great advice. Okay, so who then is another choral musician that you'd like to lift up, and maybe think about somebody that doesn't get as much attention as you think they deserve?
Absolutely. I would like to lift up my friend and colleague, Mr. Gerald Nicholas, that teaches here in Killeen ISD. He teaches at Chaparral High School. He is just an extremely talented choir director and vocalist and educator. I think the thing that I love about him is that he applies pedagogy used in the private voice lesson studio to the choral classroom. He back when he was in college, he won Nats as a tenor, and so he is a vocal pedagogue. And he's just one of those directors who just knows the voice and knows how to explain technical concepts to the students in a way that they can really truly understand. His middle school varsity center-based choir was actually invited to perform at both TMEA and SWACDA back at 2020. And so now that he's at the high school level, really, I really believe that it's only a matter of time before his choirs and he gets that same recognition both at the regional and the state level. So again, that's Gerald Nicholas, Chaparral High School. If you don't know his name, you will soon.
All right, folks, keep an eye out, Gerald Nicholas.
Sir.
All right, so we're heading into this Accelerando now. It's a little game I like to play with my guests. Just some things that typically don't have anything to do with choral music. Shoot from the hip here. See
Okay.
see what you can come up with first thing on top of your head. What's
Okay.
the worst job you ever had outside of choral music?
I was a drive-through attendant at Wendy's, and it was the worst job because it had the worst hours. I did it my senior year of high school, and so my hours were 9 p.m. to 2 a.m. I don't know how I did it. I really, really don't, because nowadays, if I don't get 6 to 8 hours of sleep, I'm good for nothing. But I think, it definitely built character. Let's just say that. Didn't build my pocket, didn't build my bank account, but let's just say it built character.
Were you still getting up at 4:30 at that time?
Oh, not at that point. At that point, listen, at that point, you were good to get me out of bed. And I have to say, I had a little bit of senioritis toward the end there. So yeah. The 4:30 workouts, Dad was definitely upset at that moment.
Sure, I get that. Okay, so what is your guilty pleasure bad food to eat?
Ooh. My favorite food of all time, and this is going to sound so basic, French fries. Man, give me a fried potato. Oh, curly fry. Oh, crinkle. I mean, I will literally drive through McDonald's and just to get a large fry. And it's funny because whenever I order that, people are like, "Is that it?" Like, that's it. That's all I need. French fries.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, you mentioned McDonald's. Is that the go-to place for your
That's the
French fries?
go-to place for me. Come on, they have the best fries. And anybody who doesn't agree with that, you'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I
McDonald's.
agree with you. I agree with you. Absolutely. All right. So if you had to do any other job besides being a musician of some kind, what would that be?
I would probably be a personal trainer. And a lot of that is, again, I've been working out, and I think health is really important to me. And I think it goes beyond, at this stage of my life, it goes beyond out what you look like on the outside, and it's really just being healthy and heart healthy on the inside. I think that when you feel good and when you feel like you look good, you present yourself in a different way. And so I think it would be really cool for me just to be able to help people figure out what their exercise goal is, and really help them to that, because that's only going to make them feel better about themselves. And so definitely I would probably be a personal trainer.
Yeah, I need to be closer to you, man, because you you know all the stresses of the job, and you know what we go through, and you would know what I would need as far as a training regimen and program. So yeah, I need to get my butt out of bed and come work out with you at 4:30 in the morning. But
Listen, Dallas ACDA, you heard it here, folks. You heard it here.
yeah, you did hear it here. Okay, all right. Okay, so what's a movie or TV show that you think everyone should watch at least once?
Oh my goodness. Man, Schitt's Creek. I absolutely love Schitt's Creek. It is one of those type of shows and sitcoms that I probably have watched maybe two or three times, just because it's just funny, man. I it's everybody knows that family has their crazy dynamics, and so for me, just getting an opportunity to just to watch Schitt's Creek, I mean, it's funny every single time because I see commonalities between some of my family members, and so yeah, Schitt's Creek for sure.
Yeah, I think you're the second one that said Schitt's Creek now.
Cool.
And I'm afraid we're going to be canceled off of YouTube here because they're not understanding the spelling. But yeah,
Right, it's Schitt, okay, everybody?
that's right.
It's the name.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, Tanner Oglesby from Arkansas, I believe, was the one who also said Schitt's Creek. So
Oh, cool.
uh,
Awesome. Awesome.
great answer. Yeah, I've seen a few episodes, but I haven't done a deep dive. I'm gonna have to now that I've got two endorsements, I've got to dive a little deeper. Now my wife, she gets into it pretty
It's a
well.
good
So
one.
okay, so let's see. What's the scariest moment in your life? You can choose that one, or what is your biggest phobia?
Wow. Um, Honestly, it's okay. The scariest moment in my life probably happened last year or this past school year. My varsity mixed choir had the opportunity to be invited to sing at TMEA in February, and it was the scariest moment, but the probably the most fulfilling moment. I think the scariest moment was when I was introduced and walking up the stairs and looking out into that audience and like, oh my gosh, we are actually doing this. But that fear was immediately changed into just, I'm actually doing this. And then it really just changed into the most fulfilling experience in my literally in my entire life.
Yeah, for sure. Those conference programs can be a little taxing on the nerves when you know you're performing for all of your peers who know what they're doing, know what they're talking about, you
Mhm.
know what they're listening for. But as soon as you get up there and you throw that downbeat, it's you
It's
know
real.
it's a transformative experience. So I
But
agree with
but
that too.
I will say though, for those folks who get the opportunity to be in those situations, and I can say this after the fact, everybody in that audience is there supporting you. Everybody
Absolutely.
in that audience wants you and your kids to do the absolute best.
Yeah.
And so that is again wisdom from the other side of it. But I truly, truly believe that there's so much support in those moments. And so yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I agree. And I think we get in our heads too much
yeah.
when we get into that. So it's not really something that's actually worth spending our stress capital on. You know. Okay, so what is something you spend way too much money on?
DoorDash. I listen again. I feel like I'm talking to every choir director in the world right now. I mean, after getting off of work, at 6 or 7 o'clock, because again, we've got to do all those administrative things and answer all of those emails that we had no time doing. I do not want to go home and cook. And so, I mean, I always tell myself, you need to meal prep or, cook on the weekends. But I mean, by the time I get home, I'm done, man. And so, I'll just have DoorDash come bring me some food. And, and then at the end of every month when I'm looking at my bank statement, it's like, why did I do that? So yeah, door dashing, 100%.
Yeah, I'm similar in that way too. My whole family is. Yeah, we look back at that bank account at the end of the month and we're going, what did we spend so much money on? Oh yeah, I remember now.
DoorDash.
Uh-huh. Okay. What is a secret talent that most people would be surprised to learn about you?
Oh, secret talent. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I used to be a cheerleader back when I was in high school and when I was in college. And so I say secret talents. I still think in my mind that I could tumble and I could do backflips and stuff like that. But it's been a long, long, long time since I did that. And a funny story about that, we're doing a fundraiser, and as one of the incentives for my students to reach that goal, I told them if they could reach our goal, then Mr. Wiley would do a back tuck. And so, mind you, I've not done a back tuck in over 10 years, but the mind thinks I can do it. But so yeah, I think being a cheerleader is I still got the moves. I still can do the motions and hopefully can still do a back tuck. We'll see in the next couple of weeks with our kids. Hopefully hitting that monetary goal. So yeah.
Well, good luck on that, man. Yeah, I was
Definitely.
on a, I was on an all male squad in high school, and I'm the same way. My mind thinks I can still do it, but my knees say say I can't. What is the oldest thing in your fridge?
Uh, probably 2 weeks ago, the food that I cooked that I forgot to take it out again after work. Who wants to go home and wash dishes, and let alone the pots and pans? So probably leftovers from last week's pasta night. I'm sure.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Then what superpower would you have if you could have any?
Ooh. I think I would probably want to be able telekinesis, and telepathy, being able to read others' minds and being able to let others be able to get into my mind. I think just as human beings, we speak words, but one of the hard things, is trust. And like, is this person actually telling me, really, the truth, And so I think telepathy, being able to connect with people on a mental type of way and being able to move things with my mind, I think would just be cool.
Yeah, you're a brave person, wanting to be in some people's minds.
Could be crowded, I'm sure, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. All right. If you could have any message on a billboard for thousands of people to see, what would it say? Something inspirational, short phrase, something you'd like to impart on thousands.
You're worth it. Be yourself.
Ooh, love that.
Be
Okay.
yourself. So many times, they call it switching codes, or you're one way around a certain amount of people, or one way around a certain a party of people. I really think just be yourself. Be yourself, and people will, if you are truly who you are, people will accept you. And don't try to be somebody else. I think I heard some quote, I don't know who said it, but it said, stop trying to be everybody else. Those people are already taken, And so just be you. Be comfortable in who you are.
Yeah, that's awesome advice too. Yeah, I've spent too many years trying to do that myself, so I completely get that. All right, so congratulations, you've achieved Tempo Presto.
Yes,
Thanks for playing that little game with me.
made it.
All right. So, what goals might you have, or something you're looking forward to, either this school year, this season? What are you most excited about?
Well, I think like I said, I had an awesome opportunity last year for my varsity choir getting to sing at TMEA, and that was a goal that I've actually had since I was 14 years old. And so that was huge. And so I guess what I'm really looking forward to now is just seeing what new opportunities are going to be on the horizon. Um, I'm looking forward to this position, to be quite honest, Dr. Wall. I mean, I'm really excited to get a chance to be an R&R for SWACDA. I'm looking forward to getting to meet new people and exchange some new ideas and stuff, and really just getting out there, outside of Killeen and outside of Texas, and really focusing more regionally and nationally. Um, our contemporary a cappella ensemble is competing in our Architects Vocal Festival later on in the semester. We had some success at that some success at that a few years ago, so we're super excited to enter that contest. And we have some really cool collaborative performances with our wind ensemble and our orchestra this season, and we're actually combining all of the varsity choirs here in Killeen ISD to perform Foray's Requiem in January. So just really just looking forward to just getting to do some good music, meet some good friends, and just to put myself out there. Like I said, I've been doing this for a while. And so, I'm just looking forward to meeting new people and just becoming a better choir director and just better at my craft.
Yeah, that's great. And congratulations again on your conference performance. Yeah, it's one of those things that you hit that mountaintop, and you then look at the valley and you say, okay, where's the next mountaintop? And
Next, yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and I think that's great. That's what you're doing. So that's great. All right, so what have I not asked you in this conversation that you would like to leave us with? Anything?
I don't know. Well, I would say, just speaking to the community at large, um, uh, connect with others. Take the time to connect with your students. We This year, my district is doing this initiative called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with it, but basically what it just focuses on is just taking the time to teach kids how to act, teach kids how to interact in a team, teaching kids how to work through their conflicts. But more important, it just teaches kids how to connect with others. So I think if there is anything that I would want to leave us all with is just take the time. The music will come. But our job as choir directors is more than that. Our job is to create successful human beings. And so, again, because our kids spend so much time with us, it is an investment not only in your programs, but in the individuals and in the kids that are going through your programs. Take the time to connect with your students. It's worth it.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, this has been a great conversation, Spencer. And, thank you throughout the conversation for the honorific of calling me Dr. Wall. But, we know each other now, so I'm Jeff. Okay.
Right. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, you bet. Where can people go to learn more about you and your work?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not the biggest social media person, but if you want to get in touch with me via email, it is spencer.wiley@killeen.isd.org. So that's my first name, spencer.wiley, and at Killeen, KILLEENISD.org. I'm still on Facebook. I think a lot of our colleagues do that, so you can find me on Facebook. Please go ahead and friend me. And yeah, also, if you want to check out our website, it is hhhschoirs.com to kind of see what we got going on here at Harker Heights High School.
Well, great. I won't put your email fully in the description of the video because there are bots on YouTube that like to go and spam you. But I'll mask it somehow and put it down there so people can know how to get in touch with you. And I'll link the website down there that you just mentioned as well, if you're okay with that.
Yes, sir.
But thank you so much for joining me for this Connections podcast.
Sir.
And until next time, folks, we'll see you. Thank you.
Thank you.